Welcome to Ready Gamer 1, a weekly nerdy podcast that discusses a love for Nintendo gaming and beyond. I'm your host, Ben Cornett, and this week I'm joined by Brandon Loera from the Hyrule Herald.
Hello.
So let's just get this off and running, Brandon. We got a little bit to talk about some news. So let's talk about Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, because we don't stop talking about that game.
Of course.
But since we are only 6 weeks from launch, we're obviously going to be getting little tidbits here and there for the next few weeks, obviously. And this week's finds were actually pretty good, some reassuring things. So let's talk about the world size for Breath of the Wild.
Jesus.
It's huge. It's giganamous.
The only thing that, with that much space,
it's a lot of grass.
Goodness, so much grass to cut. So many grass.
We're going to get rich.
I wish that were the case.
1 rupee at a time.
But, I just hope that they have that filled, you know? They did say open air, so it's probably just a bunch of, you and your horse just galloping through the wilds.
Yeah, which would speak a little bit to the title of the game.
Yeah.
So supposedly the game will be 360 square kilometers. So in comparison, Skyrim, which is a very well-known, very big open world game, was almost 41.5 square kilometers. So we're talking 360 square kilometers versus 41.5. That's a big area to explore. So my question there would be, is this going to be something where maybe they will further down the road update the game, have a couple add-ins or something where this area that was kind of barren now will be filled with something? To me, I don't see that happening. I would like to me, I'm kind of comparing that to like World of Warcraft, where they do like the world of events and world holidays. You go to certain areas for certain things. To me, it would be kind of doable, but I don't ever see that really happening. It'd be kind of fun.
Well, I know that at least with Final Fantasy 15, it seems that they had areas or are getting areas ready for things to be added. And then along with Destiny had that out a lot too, where people would just find a certain way of jumping onto certain objects and they would get into this open empty spot that would later become the next update. So with as big of the area as they say it is, I think that it's possible. They've never done anything like that before, so I'm not sure, but they're pulling aspects from everything. So I wouldn't say it's totally out of the water for them to do that.
Yeah, this is this isn't essentially the way that they were originally marketing it. Was that this is not the original Zelda game that everybody grew up with. They're reinventing it a little bit and giving it, hey, this is what we did before. We're going to include that. We're going to include a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we're going to make it better. And that's really the decision to be determined, right? Is this going to be better? Is what they're doing going to end up making the game better? And we don't know that.
Yeah, I think it's just best to expect the unexpected at this point.
Yeah, the obvious fun thing about it is that Bill Trinan said that if you want to, as soon as you get out of like the training mode and everything in the game, you can head right towards Calamity Ganon and try to beat the game. Of course, you're not going to do very well, but there's no order of succession to complete anything in the game. So all you 3-heart challenge people, this could be a fun way to start. Right?
Like, this could be, people talking about Zelda. Oh, Zelda's too easy. The bosses are too easy. Go Dark Souls for like 10 seconds and go straight to the boss and see how it happens. See what happens.
Yeah, and so maybe we might be getting a little bit of Dark Souls coming into this Zelda realm, because obviously a lot of comparison is being made to Skyrim and the Elder Scroll games here. So maybe Nintendo said, well, okay, fans are liking this game, fans are liking that game. Let's see what we can take and re-innovate.
Yeah.
And that's one thing Nintendo does well, is that they usually do their own innovation, and then Sony is like, oh yeah, well we created that too. Yeah, that's good old Sony. And then there was an interview. So there's an interview with E.G. Anuma, which is fascinating. And he is saying that there could be more Zelda for the Switch, which when I'm reading this article, I'm thinking, well, duh. Why would they? It's first of all, this is the launch title. This was originally supposed to be a Wii U game, like 12 years ago,
Right.
before the Wii U was even being developed. No, that's not really true. But anyway, that's what it feels like.
It does.
But no, I wouldn't be surprised to see, especially if this game takes off, if this new format takes off for the series, then I wouldn't be surprised for them to say, okay, well, we can copy a lot of this stuff and a lot of similar things, kind of like really what they did with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I'm not saying to reskin everything and just, put darker shades on stuff, but to me, they've got a new system to play with, basically it's a new sandbox for them to really create something new for the Zelda world. So I would not be surprised. And then, he also alluded to the female player version of Link, and he had spoken with Miyamoto, and they both said that it's a possibility. So that's interesting for all those people who have always wanted to have Link being female. Or to me, I think it would be fun to do a Legend of Zelda game where you actually play as Zelda and have a different skill set, different power set, different abilities than Link usually does. It's not so much about going and rescuing Link, but, give us a dungeon or something where we have to play as Zelda. Gosh, it'd be even fun to do that with Ganondorf.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And going back to what you were saying about the more Zeldas coming, that's a general statement. And so I feel like, there would be more Link crossbow training or, Triforce Heroes or something like that. Just more of a little side Zelda or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, like spin-off titles?
Yeah.
Actually what I was thinking about as well is that they obviously show that the Switch is transportable, right? You can travel with this.
Mm-hmm.
So might we see like another game in the vein of A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds? Like another top-down Switch game, but it would be, for the Switch, and it'd be that kind of Zelda game. I think that would be beautiful. I really do. I think it'd be a fun way to continue that, because the top-down view Zelda games are always fun for me.
I'm down for some more top-down, but people don't seem to mind that they go back to the top-down every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different way of looking at the world, and what I find fascinating about the top-down is that some fans like recreate it in 3D and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where you can actually see it in Link's view.
Yeah, there was that project not too long ago that remade. It was Link's Awakening. They did it in. I think they used Ocarina of Time skins.
Looks like a
But
totally
they used the
different
map
game.
and everything. Yeah, it's amazing the way that it was done. But yeah, I really liked A Link Between Worlds, other than the fact that it was super easy. But I loved, the new mechanic in the game. Being able to utilize the walls and everything. I thought that was really neat gameplay. Because it made some of the dungeons a little bit more interesting. And to me, it's like I find myself when I go back and playing A Link to the Past, it's like, oh yeah, I'll just get to the wall, and it's like, oh, that's not that game.
Yeah, at this point in time, you're like, can they really think up new things? Have they? Some people are like, have they just come up with everything they possibly can? Have they exhausted their supply? But no, they just keep coming up with this new stuff with the going in between the walls, and yeah, it definitely makes the puzzles a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and there's almost endless storytelling with Zelda, because it's a fantasy game. Anything really can happen. It's a bummer that Hyrule Warriors is not canon. To me, that is such a fascinating game, because what it does is it like merges the timelines, and it like throws chaos into the world because of that, and it's fun.
Yeah, I wasn't big into Hyrule Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely respected the story and how you were talking about last week, how even though it was a little bit corny or whatever, it still
Mm-hmm.
made sense, and the characters made it seem believable. So I love that.
Yeah, Yeah, it was really really well done, and that's one thing I'm excited about with the Fire Emblem Warriors game that's coming out, because I think that will get me to reappreciate Fire Emblem a little bit more.
Yeah.
We'll touch back up on that in a little bit. The soundtrack for Breath of the Wild, though, I've been trying to find out as much information as I can, because it really just sounds like it's just going to be piano and a few little harps and whatnot. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a very laid back, very quiet, very solo feel. Which, based on everything that we're seeing in the screenshots and the videos, is that this Hyrule has been destroyed and demolished. So, to me, it's giving its character tone by being alone in the world. So like a solo piano anyway, would be great. Koji Kondo is listed as a supervisor, but he's not listed as actually the composer of the game. So it should be interesting to see what more music we're going to get, because the Zelda series is it's almost synonymous with awesome music, right?
Of course, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't even listen to radio music. All I do is just pop in like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. That's all I listen to. It's all you need.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's it.
like, okay, Koji Kondo. Let's talk about this for a second. He's a supervisor now, to Breath of the Wild, and I mean, he's big time. I mean, I'm sad that he's not the actual composer, but I mean, he started out with Super Mario Brothers in '85 and Legend of Zelda in '86, and from then on, he was doing major stuff that just transformed the series and helped sell millions and millions of copies. I will say I found it interesting that Ocarina of Time was the last one he actually worked on by himself as a composer. And then after that,
yeah, because Majora's Mask used a lot of his influence, but he wasn't listed as a solo composer for that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think he must have some sort of protege over there that I don't know very much about. So I'm assuming later on down the line, when Nintendo starts making these games, Koji Kondo is going to be, a supervisor, master, sensei to this new guy who hopefully will take some lessons from Koji and be the next superstar.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's gonna wrap the Breath of the Wild talk. We got a little bit more news regarding the Switch. Not necessarily good news, not necessarily bad news either. The Switch has so far it's been formally announced that the Nintendo Switch will not launch with Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, or Amazon Prime multimedia apps. And to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not saying that they're not going to ever have them, but to me, they've got some other bugs still probably to work out, within the next 6 weeks. Not that they have bugs, that's probably the wrong thing to say, but there's probably more pressing matters for them to work on versus, we got to make sure we have Netflix compatibility and whatnot. I honestly do not see a scenario where before April, March 3rd is when the system comes out, right? By April 3rd, I would expect at least Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime to be on there.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely the least of their worries. And, I mean, at this point, most people have some sort of other device that plays Netflix and whatever other streaming device you have. I only have Netflix, but other devices. Yeah,
well, like I was telling you, I have that $400 Netflix machine that Microsoft made, and it plays a couple of Xbox games. But it's really for Netflix and Hulu.
Oh my god! But I mean, going along with that, I mean, you don't need it on there. You can just get a Roku or a Chromecast or whatever. $30-$35. Some people are just like, oh, I can just watch it on the computer. Me personally, I want to see it on my big TV rather than my tiny computer. So I usually just and it's about the convenient aspect of it.
Sure.
Because I have it on my PS4 and I can just, if I don't want to play anything, I can just hook it up and it'll just stream on my TV. And so that's my personal view on it. But it's not necessarily terrible that it doesn't have it at launch, because I'm sure the PS4 and Xbox One didn't have that many apps, like maybe like 5 to choose from at launch.
Hmm.
So I don't see this as a decrease in value of the Switch at all.
No, I mean, to me, it's only going to get better, right? Because once they fine tune it for the Switch, to me, as someone who travels a lot for work, if I can connect to the in-flight Wi-Fi, then that gives me an opportunity to either play the game or to, maybe I just want to watch Netflix. But the other thing is, with Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon allowing for downloads, if I can download that like a show or something to the Switch and then watch it later, that's an added benefit to me. Now, I'm speaking obviously as a minority in this group because, I'm speaking as myself as someone who travels frequently, who's like, oh yeah, I got to get a Nintendo Switch for that reason. Well, there's like probably 12 of us.
Right.
But, in reality, that's an upsell for me if that capability comes out. The other thing that I'm kind of thinking about, and this was kind of toyed around with the Wii U, because remember they used to have the Nintendo TV channel or whatever, right? Well, now, remember, we're going to be able to do that video capture and picture capture. Now, it was going to be picture capture was going to be available first, but video was going to be a little bit after launch. So I'm almost wondering if Nintendo's going to roll something out similar to, Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network, where it's going to be all interconnected. To me, I think they're trying to maybe do their own multimedia because Nintendo they have secured a deal with Nickelodeon. I'm pretty sure everyone is assuming it's a Castlevania cartoon show.
Right.
That's at least what it sounds like it is. So to me, if they could do that where it's exclusive, like you get the episodes first, that's kind of cool too, right? If you use this app.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah. So in other news, the Super Mario Run will be running from the iOS market and finally jumping into the Google Play Store for the Android operating system devices. So far, we know that it will release to the Google Store Play in March. No definitive date has been given. I would hope not March 3rd because that's just going to be like Nintendo extravaganza for like everybody then.
Yeah, they're not going to touch Super Mario Run if they're going to do it at launch for Switch.
Or maybe you're going to be waiting in line at GameStop to pick up your Switch in Breath of the Wild and be like, yeah, I'm playing Mario Run right now.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And then you get all the pretentious iPhone people like, oh, well, we've had it for like 3 months already.
We've had it for years.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Which then kind of segues us a little bit because there's some mobile gaming news here, and I'm going to let you talk more on a lot of the Fire Emblem stuff, but we had some big Fire Emblem news this week. With a mobile game coming, a remake that actually, it's not so much a remake, but like the United States is finally getting the Fire Emblem Gaiden or whatever.
Yeah. So,
go ahead and take it away.
Well, let's talk about Fire Emblem Heroes first. It's supposed to be coming out February 2nd. It was originally only for the Android. Apple users would have to wait a little bit, but a recent update said that they're actually going to be a simultaneous launch, so that's good for them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they probably whined and complained and got their way.
Yeah,
I'm that Android person, right? Where I'm like, I hate people that are. I hate the iPhone. How's that lyric go? It's not the band I hate; it's their fans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how I feel for iPhone users.
And usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Super Mario Run, iOS gets it first, and then after they play test it or whatever, then the Android users get it. But not so in this case. Of course, it's going to be free, and so obviously that's going to lead with some microtransactions. The microtransactions.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a kingdom builder kind of a game.
Yeah, you have to. What my understanding is that you buy these orbs in order to acquire new heroes that you can play with. I think that's the catch.
So it sounds like it's like a little bit of Game of War meets Fire Emblem, really.
Man, I have no idea because I'm not a big mobile fan, but I think I might start with this game.
Yeah, we have an office game that we play. It was a team building exercise, and it was Game of War, and basically it was kind of like the original Warcraft. and then you could like invade other people. It's okay. It didn't last very long for me.
Like a year, maybe.
A week.
A week.
Yeah.
Even shorter.
Yeah, like, oh, well, we already lost Ben to this because it's too much, because I'm the snooty game guy in our office, right? Because everyone's like, oh, well, he knows everything. Well, I don't know everything, but I have my tastes, and I use my phone for other activities, and I don't use it to drain battery for video games.
Yeah, you know what you like.
Yeah, I think the only game that I play on my phone other than the solitaire game that I have is, I think Jetpack Joyride, because that's always a fun game.
I've heard of that. Never played it myself. I am just so ignorant on mobile games for some reason. But yeah, so Fire Emblem Heroes. Basically, there is new art. It is hand drawn and it looks fantastic.
It did. It looked very pretty.
Along with that, there are newly recorded voiceovers. So look forward to that. So basically the story is you're just a summoner and you're creating an army. And that's where I'm assuming the orbs come into play. In case you were wondering, pre-registration is open now. If you want to sign up.
Yeah, I saw that on the Google Play Store.
Yep.
For both right now, for Mario and for Fire Emblem, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And in case you were wondering, there is some extra things besides normal mode, I guess. Just to kind of level up your army, there's a thing called Training Tower. I'm not sure on the specifics yet, but you just train your army there to level up and acquire new abilities. Also, there's a place called Special Maps where special in-game events, seasonal things will happen, just to kind of keep the players, playing. Yeah, so that's Fire Emblem Heroes.
Awesome. Do we have a release date for that? I mean, I know that's coming soon.
Yeah, February 2nd.
Is it March? Oh, February 2nd.
Yeah, really close.
Yeah, so like in a couple days.
Yep.
Awesome.
And I guess we move on to the Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of, Valentia. I apologize. I am not good with names.
I was saying Valentia.
Valentia.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
that's my guess.
We'll go with Valentia because Ben knows all.
It sounds fancier.
It does. Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia.
Yeah.
It will be making its appearance May 19th. This is for the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
And Fire Emblem Gaiden, which it is taking some things from, was the second in the Fire Emblem series. And it was sort of regarded as the black sheep of the Fire Emblem series, and that's because they changed a bunch of things, aspects of the game, free roaming, inventory management was a little bit different. Weapons don't degrade. Most weapons don't degrade, so you really don't have many weapons to choose from. And spellcasters, this was a big one. Spellcasters didn't have any tomes or anything. So instead, they would learn their spells by leveling up, which, as a avid Dungeons and Dragons person, makes perfect sense to me. But it's not a Fire Emblems thing. Spells also cost HP to cast, so it's like you're a blood ritualist type caster, which sounds really awesome, but not many people like that. So, actually, you know what? Fire Emblem's Gaiden reminds me, it's kind of like the Zelda 2 to Fire Emblems. So,
yeah, I was kind of thinking that when you said it was the black sheep of the Fire Emblem. I thought, well, that's kind of like what Zelda 2 is, really.
Exactly. And,
and nowadays, that's actually Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land is like the black sheep. Like, don't acknowledge that game.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that game. How could you say that?
I know, it's like I just like swore for like 2 seconds while saying it.
Gross. Going far away from that game, this plot, revolves around the characters from Gaiden, Alm and Celica. I'm assuming that's how you say their names. Of course, they're in two opposing kingdoms, just like the rest of them. Sort of like a Romeo and Juliet type of thing. Not really, but it is. The whole shebang. All of this is happening on the continent Valentia. I forgot how Ben said it. So I have short-term memory loss, clearly. So the main aspect that they make from Gaiden is that basically there's more flexible character progression, which is always a good thing, and the presence of dungeons. So there's more side quest action going on there. Also, which is very good for this game, 2 new amiibos are coming out. I'm assuming
I did see that
around the same time, and they look damn good.
Yeah, the amiibo art has gotten a lot better since like the original launch. I noticed that when I was looking, I was moving some stuff around and I came across my Ocarina of Time Link amiibo, and I thought, wow, the detail on this is actually a little bit better than on the Smash Brothers Link. So yeah, they've really gotten a lot better with them, and then looking at just the images of the ones for the Breath of the Wild amiibo that are coming out, it looks really good. So I can't wait to see them, up close.
Oh, they're super detailed. I've been out of the amiibo game for a while, but I'm thinking at least for Breath of the Wild, whenever I finally do get the Switch, I'll definitely be stocking up.
Yeah, your wallet has recovered at least that much.
I sure hope so. I'm counting on
it. Yeah, come March 3rd, my wallet's going to say no more Nintendo
stuff. Bye-bye.
Yeah. There goes the tax return.
So yeah, that's all the Fire Emblem news I have to share.
Oh, well, the only other thing I have to add is that they did formally announce that a full Fire Emblem game is confirmed for the Nintendo Switch, and this is not Fire Emblem Warriors. They are making a brand new Fire Emblem game for the Switch. Obviously, it's in development, so there's no date information on it.
No.
So, but no, that's pretty exciting. I think Fire Emblem is one of those franchises that also very similar to Zelda, right? Has their very loyal fan base, and I'm sure that I've offended them at least over the past 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, I don't do it intentionally. I'm just Fire Emblem and Pokemon, right? Those are just like 2 franchises from Nintendo that I just really never got that much into. Don't know why.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I like Mario, I like Zelda, and I love Metroid. And currently Metroid fans are just getting dumped on left and right because we get nothing. However, Reggie Fils-Aimé did say that Metroid is not being shelved. It definitely sounds like they're having some conversations about a Switch title, but they're being very coy around that.
I'm skeptical about that, about what Reggie said, but maybe it'll be like a Federation Force 2 or something. Maybe people want that.
No.
No.
Federation Force 2 with Blast Ball 2.
Yay.
No. Actually, I read a comment on Reddit that said, yeah, this means that Nintendo can finally get Rocket League. And I thought, no, don't say that, because I'm like, oh, well, let's take Blast Ball and make it a bigger game. No, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't care if it does come to the Switch. I wouldn't be surprised, but still. Actually,
my one game that I still want to see the Switch, this was my hope for the Wii U, was it's a Blizzard game, and it's called Hearthstone.
Oh.
And I think would make a beautiful tablet to screen game, where you've got your cards and your deck on the tablet or on your handheld, and then you're looking at the screen for like the tabletop. I think would be awesome. I would love to see Overwatch make its way to the Switch, but I don't know if the system can handle it as well as the Xbox and PS4. I think it could.
Very true. Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. And now that you talk about that Hearthstone card game, Elder Scrolls Legends could also be a possibility too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially what they're working with Bethesda, right? So
of course, goes hand in hand.
Should be it's always exciting when a company's putting a new system out, right? I mean, even if Sega were like to say, okay, we're coming back into the hardware market, I'd be excited.
Yeah, I
I'd be
would
excited
too.
to see what Sega's going to come up with.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
I mean, the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast to me is like the GameCube of the entire console world. It was an amazing system, had really good games, and just was frowned upon by everybody else. Like, you have to be like in this elite group that really likes the GameCube and or the Dreamcast. And I love both. I still play my GameCube.
Oh, for sure. GameCube is one of my favorite consoles ever.
Yeah, actually, I for the soundtrack talk here in a few minutes, I have a game from the GameCube that I'm giving a shout out to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, I think you'll like it too. I think you played that game. I think you were one of the ones that told me to play this game once upon a time, and I finally got around to doing it.
I can't wait to hear it. But I mean, for Dreamcast, for me, I only had, I only had like, I mean, this was at
Jet Force Radio or Jet Set Radio?
no, no, I had Grand Theft Auto. I don't remember which one it was. It had to
Oh,
be,
it was just Grand Theft Auto.
yeah, I guess it was the first one.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Down.
Yeah. Yep. I had that. I was just thinking about that this morning. Is like how Grand Theft Auto 3 was essentially really the first, Grand Theft Auto that a lot of people played.
Which is true.
Because the first two Grand Theft Auto, actually first two and a half, really three Grand Theft Auto titles were PC games. It was Grand Theft Auto 2, and GTA London.
Mm-hmm.
Which GTA London was fun because it was like in the 60s in London. It was awesome. Had a lot of cool cars.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, well, last week we asked everybody to leave some comments, and I found one that I liked a lot. The question we asked was, what video game of all time has the best soundtrack? And the one that I picked from a fan, Jeff Smith, said that Grand Theft Auto Vice City made him really appreciate my parents' music. And then, this is what I really liked about this. And then when I binged Stranger Things, I got super excited hearing that awesome 80s vibe. And I thought, I wasn't even thinking about any of the GTA games or anything by Rockstar as a soundtrack, because it's not that they have bad soundtracks on their games, but to me, they have a very diverse soundtrack because, the radio stations are really in GTA. But I will say that he got me thinking about this. L.A. Noire has an amazing soundtrack. It is like the hard-boiled detective, and they also had some original music for like the nightclub. Some of those scenes, man. That game, that was one of my honorary mentions. Right? It was L.A. Noire. It was just it's an amazing soundtrack for that game. It really helps push the feel of this 1950s world.
Yeah, you're gonna have to school me on that game sometime because I've never played it.
Oh, it's a good game. It's a little bit, it's very repetitive because it's about reading facial tics and whatnot and to progress the story. So it's kind of like a little bit of a choose your own adventure, and what you do with a suspect can kind of change the outcome of the mission. But the overall story that's being told in the game is really good. It's really fun.
Okay. It's not bad.
Someone I do want to acknowledge on the soundtrack discussion, which, this is not my favorite by any means, but Grant Kirkhope, who did the music for Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and he's going to be doing the music for Yooka-Laylee. He has just an amazing ear that processes music and gives us wonderful remembering our familiar tunes, right?
Yeah.
I still sometimes will have the Banjo-Kazooie main theme in my head every once in a while.
Yeah, I can see myself just already purchasing the soundtrack like right now.
Yeah. For Yooka-Laylee?
Yeah, whenever it comes out.
Yeah, look up some of the songs that have already been released on YouTube. I mean, they're awesome.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, do they have, or will they have, do you think, a bundle with the soundtrack included, or?
As of right now, the only way to do that, I know that I'll be getting the soundtrack because that's how I backed that project. So I'll be getting a copy for, I think I signed up for the Xbox. I had one for the Wii U, but of course I'll be switching that over for the Nintendo Switch. They haven't emailed how to do that yet.
Oh.
But I got the Sandbox, and I'm pretty sure I get the soundtrack. So yeah, when I get the soundtrack, I'll definitely let you get a hear on it. It's amazing so far what I've heard.
Sweet.
I mean, just what he's put out there on YouTube, and I think he has some stuff out on SoundCloud. But my last honorable mention before I say what my favorite, all-time favorite one, I will say that Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube has an
Oh.
amazing soundtrack. Oh, I thought you were going to be excited about this.
It's okay. I honestly maybe remember one song, but other than that, all of them were kind of meh for me.
Oh, well, see, I'm not super huge into Final Fantasy, so for me to get into a Final Fantasy game, especially kind of like a spin-off title too, right?
No, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the feeling of the music was fun and adventurous, and it really captured the GameCube era, I feel, of music. But no, my all-time favorite, the best, hands down, the best soundtrack for a video game in my entire life so far, Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. And the reason I say that is because there is an overbearing theme, and it's used for characters, and then it builds into the overworld as well. And it's really, really well done. Now, Koji Kondo, he was also, again, in this one, he was just a supervisor. He didn't actually do full on the music for it. The music was composed by, I'm going to screw these up, Toru Minigishi and Asuka Ota.
Not bad.
I tried my best.
Well,
yeah, I love Twilight Princess.
now just from the regular GameCube Wii version or the orchestrated version, there was a new one that came out not too long ago.
You know, I'll say for the GameCube, because that's what sends nostalgia. Like, I mean, it's like when you hear that original Hyrule Castle theme when you're playing A Link to the Past. You know, that's going to transport you back into time the first time you played that game.
Oh, sure.
For me, that takes me back to 1993, 1994 when I was a child.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the original was fantastic as well on the GameCube. But I personally have the one that's
the Recompose with the
Recompose.
orchestra?
Yeah, on my iTunes, and it is amazing.
It is beautiful music. Yeah, it is. It's perfect. And actually, you know, the you've gone to a Symphony of the Goddess, right?
Oh man, I wish.
You've not gone to one of those yet.
I've never gone to one. I've been close, but no.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time. I mean, you know, and I know that you have a deeper appreciation for the arts and for theater and everything. So I mean, there's a certain bit of theatricality behind it, and it's a fun experience from start to finish.
So jealous. How many times have you gone?
I've gone to that twice, and I've been trying to get to the Pokemon Symphony because I know the person who's running that. And if I can ever be in town where he's at, I would love to just, you know, be like, hey, how much can I get a ticket for, and can we do this? And I'm sure he'd probably be like, yeah, not a problem.
Look at you.
My most recent thing that I did, I was in Nashville not too long ago, and I got a chance to do. They did Jurassic Park live, but it wasn't like they didn't do like the live dinosaur things or anything. It was like they played clips of the movie with a live orchestra.
Ooh.
And it was all 4 Jurassic Park movies, and it was so cool.
Man, now that's a movie that I would totally go see the symphony for. That's amazing.
Yeah, my brother's brother-in-law, he and his wife usually every November they try to find where Home Alone Symphony will be at, and they do that.
What? Home Alone?
Yeah, there's a live symphony playing the music for Home Alone.
I didn't
1
know
and
that.
2. It's a double feature.
Oh, well, those are the best ones. Oh, well, that's good at least.
Yeah, it's not like they're doing like the ones that were made on ABC Family or whatever.
Ah, gross. Get that out of here.
So, Brandon, what is your all-time favorite, best video game soundtrack?
Oh boy. All right, I have to put this into, you know, specific compartments and categories and things. What I usually, I mean, because I listen to a lot of video game soundtracks every day, and I'd say I go between Wind Waker, I go between Majora's Mask, I go between Twilight Princess, and mostly Final Fantasy VII.
Man, those are like the staple titles right there.
Right.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is one of the best soundtrack Final Fantasy games of all time. Absolutely.
I mean, I have others, but those are the ones that I listen to the most, and
Mm-hmm.
by far, I mean, it's a little bit biased for me, I think, and people are gonna totally see through me on this one. I played Final Fantasy VII when I was 7. I beat it when I was 7, and I cried when Eris died and all this other stuff. And
Spoiler alert.
oh,
No, I'm kidding.
oh, come on. But sorry, guys, but I honestly think that 7 just has a really close place to my heart. So, along with what the 80 odd soundtrack, tracks in there, yeah, I'd say Final Fantasy 7 for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. But you listed a lot of good Zelda games too. Majora's Mask, I feel I actually remember like in my earlier days of playing World of Warcraft, I actually would turn the WoW music off and I would play a lot of from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. And I'll tell you what, the dawn of the final day, and then the moments before the apocalypse comes, where it's just all those high stringing synth sounds.
Yes.
And it puts you on edge. Oh man. It's not great music by any means, but it's beautiful for what's going on in the game.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really helps tell the story better.
And Majora's final battle, I don't know what it is, like a xylophone or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm racing against the clock here. I love it.
Yeah, no, they really, it kind of takes a little bit of a note from the old saber dance, right?
Yep.
Which is famously played on mallet percussion. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's a pretty good list to narrow down. But to choose Final Fantasy VII, I don't think there's any shame in admitting that that's definitely one of the best Final Fantasy games that has a great soundtrack.
I'm glad you approved, Ben.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on Ready Gamer 1. Be sure to check in next week with Lucas and the crew. I'll be out of town, so Lucas, I'm assuming, is going to be running this with you.
All right.
So, have fun with that. No, I'm excited to hear what you guys can do without me, because that means I can start focusing on other projects again.
Do my best.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Take care.
Adios.